Welcome to the Warrior Way podcast, where we talk about all things Liberty Christian School. I'm your host for today, Jared Malinchuk, assistant head of school, and I'm so glad you're joining us for today's show. Today is episode number 31, and we're talking excellence and leadership with our Vice President of Operations, Julie Barber. So with that, let's dive into today's conversation. Julie, thanks for being on the podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I want to hear a little bit about your experience and your journey at Liberty and the various roles that you've served in, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Vice President of Operations. That's a really big area of the campus that you oversee, literally the campus. And tell us about your roles and your history at Liberty.
Awesome. So I've been here since 2008. I've actually been a Liberty parent since 2001. So started over at Bonnie Bray, but started working here in 2008 in the advancement team and just really doing some data entry. My background's accounting and just wanted to be here with my kiddos. And so an opportunity presented itself. And with my background, I've kind of migrated. I'm kind of a computer nerd and comfortable with computer graphics. So the advancement team we were starting a home magazine. And so,
Wow.
So they needed help putting that together. And like, sure, I'll try that. So it kind of migrated into the marketing piece of the advancement team. And then back in, I guess it was 14, actually Dr. Hare needed a project manager for the new upper school that we were building. And I was like, sure, knew nothing about construction, but thought, sure, I can do that. And so moved over to the facility side and oversaw that project, opened that up, and actually worked in facilities for 3 years following that. And then in 2018, they asked me to move over to the business office to the current role of VP of Operations. It's hard for me to say no. So I said yes, and here we are.
Well, you've served in a variety of roles, so you've seen some different angles of the campus. So as I let out in your intro, Vice President of Operations, there's a lot of things involved with that. Let's just do some quick hitters for fun, and then you can tell us a little bit about maybe the day-to-day, and I'd love to hear some of the challenges and successes you have with this too.
Okay.
So let's just throw out some quick facts for our listeners. A lot of our parents and prospective parents listen to this. How large is our campus?
So we're sitting on roughly 90 acres, so pretty big.
And then square footage in the building, how much square footage are we talking?
So under roof, we have approximately 328,000 square feet.
Phases of construction. You mentioned you were the project manager, part of the high school build out. How many phases of construction has this campus had?
Yeah, so that was phase 6 when we did the new upper school and the lower school gym. And then we started phase 7 a year ago, which was the expansion for the STEM lab and student union. And now we're currently in phase 8 with the multipurpose building.
Wow. It just keeps going.
Crazy.
And this includes tell us about the portables from Bonnie Bray and how that all worked since you were in part of the old campus as well.
Yeah. So when we were at the Bonnie Bray campus, when we sold it to UNT, we got to keep all the portables. So we moved all those portables over to this campus here in Argyle. And originally it was where our upper school was. And then we built the upper school, which is now the middle school. And middle school was out in portables, and they called it the Village. It was fun. I think the kids loved it, but yeah. Texas can be cold.
That's right. I know there's a lot of good memories there that a lot of our faculty have. And then on the number side, total budget, how much are we talking for a total budget on an annual basis for our school?
So we're roughly $23.5 million budget annually. So
what I'm hearing from you is there's a lot of square footage, there's a lot of acreage, and there's a big budget. And you get to have a piece in all of this. So just tell us a little bit about your role as a Vice President of Operations, what that looks like, and what you get to speak into around the campus.
Yeah, so honestly, it depends on the day. But operations is a big umbrella. I kind of call it the back office people. Our customer are our teachers and students. So we oversee, I guess I do.
Sure.
My team is made up of facilities, the business office, which is HR and the accounting, the nurse's office, the cafeteria team. I work directly with Sage. And then technology falls under that umbrella. Liberty Locker falls under that umbrella. I think that's it.
That's a good crew right
Yep.
there. That's no small feat. So what are some of we'll talk about some of the things you love about your position and serving this leadership role. What are some of the challenges? I mean, I suppose our listeners could probably come up with a couple as well, overseeing all of this, but what are some of the challenges you face on a weekly or monthly basis?
So it definitely depends on the day. If a toilet's working or not, if computers are working or not, if Wi-Fi is not working.
Yes.
Honestly, I think probably the biggest challenge is just the expectation that everything works all the time. But the reality is that it doesn't. And so when things go down unexpectedly or a transformer blows, like when we had to cancel school because we had no electricity, I like to have things planned, and operationally things don't always plan. And so that's probably my biggest challenge. So
yeah, and not just our families, just our culture wants it fixed yesterday.
Yes,
so it makes,
100%. Yes.
And I do love the fact that you have such just from observing the work that you do, excellence is one of the core values, and there's a level of excellence that you commit to the operations of the school. And so we want excellence in the academic area, of course, but there is an excellence that comes along with this. And sometimes it does require multiple days or even weeks to figure out a really good solution.
Yes. Well, and we have such a beautiful campus, right? You drive up and it's very impressive. And so the goal is that it always looks impressive, but sometimes, we have code greens that we have to clean up in primary school. So depending on the day, you may encounter a not so perfect campus.
That's right. And we won't go over all of our codes today.
No, we won't.
We'll leave you with that one
right.
to guess.
Leave it to the imagination.
Yeah, the other colors involved there.
Yeah.
What do you love in your position about the Liberty community, the things you enjoy on a day-to-day basis?
One, I like the ability that I get to deal with so many different departments. And like I said, we're here to really support the school. And so just being able to come alongside the teachers or the faculty or athletics or fine arts, depending on what that looks like. So it's variety. It's never the same.
That's right.
So that's probably the best part that I like about it.
And as a parent too, you mentioned the girls come through the school. Speaking to the community that you've learned to appreciate about Liberty, what was it with your parent hat on that you enjoyed about all those years?
This will be my first year in 23 years that I have not had a student here on campus. So it's a little weird for me, but I'm learning to embrace my new normal. But what really drew us to Liberty originally before I even became a staff member is just the like-mindedness. I always knew that somebody was going to hold my child accountable, but love on them through it. And so just knowing that I could stand next to a friend and we're going to do this together, we're doing life together, and just loving on our kids and just keeping the main thing and bringing God into every conversation, whether it be math or science or an infraction in the middle school office. There's lessons for my kids in that. And that's really what we were looking for as a family that brought us here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the lightning round. Here we're going to have our guests answer as many questions as possible in 30 seconds. Julie, are you ready?
Eek, I guess.
Here we go. Favorite movie?
Indiana Jones.
Favorite candy bar?
I like the Take 5 candy bar.
Hit the beach or hike a mountain?
100% beach.
Dream person you could meet. Has to be alive.
Oh, gosh.
Who would you want to meet?
Gosh.
Or a couple people, or a group, or a band.
So,
you're doing great.
This is totally going to date me, but
okay.
I would love to meet the band Hanson.
Wow. Mbop.
Yes.
Dang. I would have not gone there.
Yes.
That's excellent.
Unofficially how I named my child.
I love that. Okay. This whole podcast has now been fulfilled. I love this. This is great. What's your favorite dad joke?
Why did the chicken cross the road?
Why?
Because.
Gosh, we got that and Hanson in the same lightning round. Julie, I want to give you the final word for today's show. Go ahead and share a word of encouragement or a scripture with the Warrior community.
Well, I would say my life verse, favorite verse would be Ephesians 6:10. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty strength, and take away that nothing ahead of you is bigger than God behind you. So I just kind of try to live that every day, knowing whatever I'm facing, God's got me and He's going to carry us through.
I want to thank our Vice President of Operations, Julie Barber, for being on the podcast today, along with Mr. Josh and Mr. Hayburn for their behind-the-scenes support of the show. If you have any questions or comments for the show, feel free to drop us a line at podcast@mylcs.com. Be sure to subscribe to Warrior Way Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you consume your podcast services. Until next time, go Warriors.